Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm so excited to share with you a new style video to my channel. It's a new year, so we are going to review some of the products I've used for the last week to 2 weeks as I show you how I create every day, going to work, going to the grocery store, going for an evening stroll type of look. So without further hesitation, let's get comfortable and settle in for a friendly chat and get ready. Today we are going to pull from the bag of products I've been using over the last week and put together a look and figure out what are my thoughts on these products. The bag I'm pulling from is this bag, which is quite full. It's one of those bags that was really popular last year on social media. I got it off Amazon and it was around like $15 or $20. There's just these threads all over it, and I personally wouldn't travel with it because I don't think the quality is that great. For the most part, it stays in my washroom. I put products in it on Sunday evening and then they stay there for a week and then I put them away the following weekend. I'm gonna pull products in the order of application, and some stuff I've already got on, some stuff we will put on together. The first thing are the sunscreens I've been reaching for over the last week. In my collection, I have quite a sunscreen wardrobe, and I have the really bad habit of finishing something that I really enjoy and repurchasing it despite having, 15 sunscreens open already. I don't know if I have 15. I have a few, but I have too many to keep finishing, repurchasing when I need to focus on just using up the ones that are open before I go back into new products. The sunscreens I'm using this week, we have one that is almost empty. I maybe have 1 or 2 more uses. This is the Hero Cosmetics Force Shield Super Light Broad Spectrum SPF 30, and this is a really nice mineral sunscreen. Also a mineral sunscreen that I love is the Dr. G Mild Sun Plus SPF 50 Plus with PA of 4 Plus. I've also been using on my neck. I don't use this on my face because it can make my eyes really red and really irritated. Chewed House Sun Prize Mild Airy Finish SPF 50 Plus PA 3 Plus. So this is a mineral sunscreen that I only use on my neck because it irritates my face. Then as far as tinted mineral sunscreens, I'm using my Dr. Sam's and the Color Science. They are both great, easy to put on sunscreens when I don't want to wear foundation, which honestly is most days. And then lastly, the most recent sunscreen to enter my collection, and I purchased this back in November and I just started using it when I was away for the holidays. Brown Labs, I believe this is called the Birch Juice sunscreen. Everything's in Korean. I don't have the packaging from it, but I'll have everything linked in the description box down below. Chemical sunscreen that has an SPF 50 plus of a PA 4 plus. Despite being a chemical sunscreen filter, it uses a lot of the popular Asian sunscreen filters that are not currently approved in North America that I find to be a lot more gentle. And even for me, as someone with very sensitive skin, very sensitive eyes, and I'm normally quite irritated by a lot of the common chemical filters that we have here in North America, like avobenzone and octocrylene. These are slightly different, such as like the Tenosorbs and Juvenols. This is so beautiful. This is a lot of times what I like to use as a primer. Very reminiscent of something like the Beauty of Joseon Sun Relief SPF that's very popular right now, but this, I might like this a little bit more, and I feel like it lasts longer because the Beauty of Joseon I flew through way too fast. I've also got a few products I purchased this week, but we'll talk about this in just a minute. I want to start getting some of the makeup on. So for every day, my makeup routine is super simple and it's very minimal because I'm not someone who wants to do a full glam look. If I'm going to the grocery store, going for a walk around the neighborhood, or just kind of living my day-to-day life, I love a good no makeup look with a little bit of pop of something on the skin. This week, I have been using the Smashbox Photo Finish Primerizer. I love this. It is so easy because normally I apply my skincare in the morning, then later on I will go back in and reapply makeup. Hold on. I finally bought hair clips. My fringe is growing out along with the rest of my hair and it gets in my face and I find it very, very irritating. So I found these really cute no crease hair clips on Amazon and they are just great for getting my hair out of my face without putting a dent in it. Since my hair is quite fine, it dents so easily. Speaking of my hair, something that just brought me so much joy. Since way before my channel started in 2021, I have been working on my hair. My hair is thinning from androgenic alopecia, meaning I have like standard signs of male pattern balding. So that means I'm thinning out through the top and hairline's receding, everything's thinning. So I've been working using my topical minoxidil, different treatment shampoos at home, low-level laser therapy, and in office PRP. It's an investment of both your time and your money. But over the past couple weeks, I've had a lot of people in my real life of complimenting me like, wow, your hair's really looking a lot fuller. That's music to my ears because it's just like all those years and months of hard work are finally feeling like they're paying off. Been using the Smashbox primer this week and I really love it. I have a hair product in here and this is just something I've been testing out this week and I don't think I'm gonna continue using it. This is a deluxe sample size of the Bumble and Bubble post-workout dry shampoo mist. Since the beginning of New Year's, my husband and I have made it a big mission or big goal of ours to really improve our overall health and quality of life. Exercise has been a huge part of our life since the beginning of the year. First couple days were really rough and now, you know, halfway through the first month of the year, we really look forward to it. We're not doing anything crazy. It's nothing dramatic. We are going for about a 2-mile walk after dinner and it is the most beautiful, relaxing time of the day because it's, you know, just me, one of the people I care the most about, and no phones, no nothing. I mean, it is freezing cold. Last night when we went for our walk after dinner, it is -10°C. So we bundle up, put our thermal layer on, put all of our other layers on, and we head out into the cold and we got our walk in, and it is the most, it's a sublime feeling. It's so pure, it's so wholesome, and it's just great to disconnect from the internet and reconnect with someone that you care a lot about. That being said, I sweat. So if I'm not gonna be taking a shower right away after, I like to do something to help with the oil and the sweat for my hair. And I've been using this and I just feel like this makes my hair a lot greasier. Like right now, after I shampoo and condition, I will use my Amika dry shampoo. This just gives me volume. It gives me texture so my fine hair has a little bit more volume. This, no matter if it's on freshly washed hairs or post-workout hair, it makes my hair look greasy, it makes it heavy, and it makes it feel waxy, and I'm just not a fan. So Bumble and Bubble post-workout shampoo for me is a no-go. Also, you have to make sure you shake it up very well. Up next in my bag is a fragrance I've been loving this week, and I like to layer my fragrances, but I'm focusing on using up an unscented body lotion right now. So I start off my fragrance routine with a perfume oil, and one of my favorites. It's a classic scent, new to my collection, but definitely not new to the market. In fact, it's been around since the 1980s. This is from The Body Shop. This is their White Musk perfume oil. White Musk was reformulated back in, I think it was 2021, when everything at The Body Shop went fully vegan. So this is not the same as the original White Musk, but for me, it functions very much the same, and it's a great layering piece. Only thing I'm not crazy about is you have this like little rod applicator, and it's not the easiest for getting product, but I just apply a little bit to my pulse points and then go about my day. And if you were familiar with the White Musk scent, it is just a really beautiful, powdery, fresh out of the shower, slightly musky scent that was very reminiscent of the 90s. And I was born in 1990, so I wasn't wearing any type of fragrance back then, but my mom, my cousins, my mom's friends, there's just something about this scent that takes me back to childhood, and coupled with it being like a very clean smell, it just makes me so happy. And you know, over the last year and a half, my happiness, my well-being has been my #1 priority, and anything I can do to inject happy memories into my everyday life is so welcome. Next up in my makeup routine, I like to apply a liquid illuminator. This week in my makeup bag, I have the #1 de Chanel Red Camellia Skin Enhancer in Soft Pink. I saw one of my friends here on YouTube post this when it first came out, and I love the #1 de Chanel range. The #1 de Chanel foundation is one of my all-time favorite foundations. So I ordered this without seeing it. I just messaged my sales associate and I said, hi, I would like to order this in this shade. And she said, sure thing. I don't like it. And it's not that the formulation's bad. It's when you go into the Chanel website, you read it has an apricot hue or an apricot tint. And for me, if I'm not careful, it makes my skin look very warm. If I don't thin it out enough, it can make my skin almost look like the tops of my cheeks are orange. So I have to really work it into my brush off the back of my hand and take a small amount and just really focus on spreading it out. Knowing Chanel, I'm not sure the price off the top of my head, but I'm sure this was at least like $90 to $98 here in Canada, because that's kind of like the going rate for the #1 Chanel complexion products. But for me, for that price, I rather repurchase the Rosy Light Drops. I also feel like they make my skin look a little bit smoother and they perform a little bit better under makeup. This is a product I find if you over apply it, makeup can break up horribly on me, if I'm being frank. For me, it's not a love, however, it's not a bad product. If you have more neutral to warm skin, I feel like you might like this, especially if you found something like the Rosy Light Drops too pink or too cool toned for your personal preference. And if you go over to my Instagram, which is the Dooley, then you can find comparison swatches of this versus the Rosy Light Drops. I mentioned I also put some of my products I purchased throughout the week in here, and I purchased some Chanel products. So this month has been all about getting out of my comfort zone and doing things. And I will say, my husband and I, like, my husband's my best friend. We get along so well. He's such a security blanket. And post-pandemic, he goes a lot of places with me because he's like, I struggle with social anxiety. And he's been kind of like my social anxiety crutch. So this year, one of my resolutions is to get out and do more things without him. So I called up one of my girlfriends. I'm like, hey, let's meet up. Let's go for a walk. Let's get some coffee. I got downtown to meet her, go for a walk. It was freezing and the wind was blowing. I think that day was like -15 before the wind chill. It was polar. So we ended up at Shoppers Drug Mart and they had the new Chanel Le Beige's Winter Glow collection. I was so excited, but I have to say I was quite underwhelmed by a lot of the products. We are going to talk more about that in another video, but I purchased a few products. I purchased the Le Beige's Healthy Winter Glow Primer in Frosty White. Stay tuned. There will be a video that I'm doing for like the makeup I wore for my birthday where I feature this a little bit more and I talk about this more. But if that comes out before this or after this, just a little spoiler warning, I really enjoy this. If you're someone who has dry skin or dehydrated skin and you aren't too adverse to fragrance, this is quite nourishing feeling on the skin. So again, that is the Chanel Le Beige's Healthy Glow Winter Primer. Comes in 3 different shades. I have the lightest shade, which is Frosty White. Also from the new Le Beige's collection, I don't have the product in my little makeup bag, but I have the box. This is the Rouge Cocoa Balm in number 938 Keep Cool. I did feature this product in the same video where I featured the primer. The balm itself is in one of my bags I use this week. I need to clean them out and find the one that it's in. I need to find it, and it's really beautiful. It doesn't give a lot of color, but it adds a slightly silvery pearlescent sheen to the lips. So it's like your lip, but slightly pearly. It's really beautiful. I did purchase one more Chanel product this week, but we'll talk about this in a little bit. And the 2 other products I purchased this week are the Inky List PHA Toner. This is going to be the new exfoliant I work into my evening skincare routine a few times a week. And then I repurchased the Ordinary Multi-Peptides Plus Copper Peptide 1% Serum. I've been using this since November of 2022. It's a beautiful addition to my morning skincare routine. And I talked about this quite a bit in my 2023 Best of Skincare video. The complexion product I have in this bag has actually been in here for almost 2 weeks. And I have to say I've only used it once because I don't care for it, to be frank. It doesn't excite me. So most days I use one of my tinted sunscreens as my complexion base and then use concealer as needed. Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromadiac Tinted Glow Makeup, and I have the shade 20 Fair. This a couple weeks ago I decluttered some of my foundation products and I only use this product once and I've had it for quite a while. There was something about it that I just didn't enjoy. So I typed in the batch code and found out that this is kind of like a done in April of this year. So I'm like, oh wow, you know what? I need to use this product. It's not a bad product, but for me, it's just not a memorable product. Easy to use. It looks okay on the skin. For this price point, I just feel like there's things that you can get that are just as nice that are less expensive. For me, this only lasts for about 5.5 to 6 hours, and then it kind of goes down the hill very quickly. If you want something like this at a lower price point, I'm a huge fan of the L'Oreal True Match if you are in the United States. For my Canadian viewers, I feel like the L'Oreal True Match Tinted Nude Serum or Hyaluronic Tinted Nude Serum, or the serum foundation they came out with a few years ago. That was very popular on social media. And you can also get in the United States as well, but I feel like that is a better alternative to this. And it lasts longer, and it just, I don't know. I don't want to say this is a bad product because I know a lot of people love this product, but for me, me, with the products I've tested out over the years, it just doesn't wow me for a prestige price point. I need a little bit more just for my forehead, and then we'll move on. See, I feel like now in the mirror, it looks okay. And I find for the first 30 to 45 minutes, it looks really nice. And it's very random because it looks really nice on the skin when you first put it on. But in the one day I wore it over the last 2 weeks, I don't know. It's just, it hit this point somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour where it just no longer looked pretty on the skin. Almost like, I don't know if you can see here on the back of my hand, it's settling into the texture. And a lot of products will settle into texture. It's just the nature of liquids. Your skin has texture, there's highs and lows, and a lot of times anything with a liquid texture will kind of work its way to the lowest point. Some products, when they settle, they look the same way they did when you first applied them. Others kind of function like this, and it just picks up on things maybe that you don't want to emphasize, like fine lines, texture, and it can almost make you look a little dehydrated, despite this being a Hydromaniac tinted glow hydrator. It's just, for me, it's just not my favorite. If you have used the Urban Decay Stay Naked Hydromaniac, let me know your thoughts on this, and let me know if you've tried a product combination that you really enjoy that works really well for you. Another product I've really been loving over the last 2 weeks is the NYX Bear With Me Serum Concealer, and I have shade light. This is another product, I really enjoy it. I went through a full tube. I repurchased it shortly after I purchased another concealer. Sadly, those other concealers just excited me a little bit more than the NYX concealer did, which is sad because this is a really lovely concealer, and using it again for the last 2 weeks on a daily basis, I feel like it's a really nice kind of natural finish, meaning it's not matte, it's not luminous, it just has this natural skin-like appearance to it, and it lasts really well. And I also like it over the eyelids as an eyeshadow base. If I didn't have as many products as I did, and I wasn't, you know, reviewing products for social media, this is definitely a concealer I could see myself using on a daily basis and kind of being like my everyday concealer, maybe having some with a little bit more coverage for like a special occasion when I want things to look ultra perfected. But day to day, I think it's really nice. I don't feel like we always need maximum coverage every single day. I mean, if you want maximum coverage, you wear what makes you feel your most beautiful. But for me, I know my skin isn't perfect, but I work really hard to keep my skin in a condition that I'm happy with. And I don't want to cover my hard work, and I don't want to feel a lot of makeup on my skin. So I tend to like products that are a little bit thinner, that just feel more like my skin. See, I like this. It's nice. Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape, and I purchased the shade 12B. I've had this for a little bit. It's another one of those products. I checked the batch code, and it's coming to an expiry date in May of this year. And the sad thing is I use this quite a bit. It's not something I talk about on social media because I normally throw it in travel bags, but it's really beautiful. And I was not someone who was a big fan of the original Shape Tape because it had a lot of coverage, and as I was just mentioning, I don't really like a lot of coverage. I mean, back when I was 21 working at MAC, I loved all the coverage. I was a full-on Studio Fix fluid with Studio Finish concealer, a little bit of Prolonged Wear concealer to highlight my skin, and then set it all down with 2 or 3 shades of Studio Fix powder plus foundation, and we were shellacked for the day. Now, I can still appreciate people who put in that effort to their makeup look, but for me, it's just not the season of my life I'm in anymore. So I like things a little bit softer, and the Tarte Ultra Creamy Shape Tape for me is not really even comparable to the original Shape Tape. I find it spreads out so thinly, so beautifully, and you get more of like a medium coverage. It could also be that I've never tried to really apply this as like a full-on glam concealer. But if I compare it to something in a similar shade, like my Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer and 1.5B Yogurt Drops, they're a similar tone, and that concealer spreads out, and it's a more full coverage going out glam concealer. This, it has coverage, but it's very thin, it's very workable, and you can sheer it out, which makes something like this great for every day. The only issue I have with this is I use such a small amount that even for this little travel size, applying a few dots here and there, I won't finish it up in the 3 years that it's normally good for. On the back of here, it does have the little open jar, and it says it's good for 6 months. When checking the batch code, the manufacturer says it's good for 3 years. Now, ideally that's if it's never been opened. And you know, sometimes makeup's expensive and we hang on to things a little bit longer. So if it's something like concealer that I use more intermittently, and especially if it's something like this I use for very select things, I hang on to it for a little bit longer. Should you? Probably not. Follow those best by dates, but if you buy a lot of makeup like I do, then sometimes we hang on to a little bit longer than we should. I like a highlighter that I can just use willy-nilly and not really put a lot of thought into. One of my favorites is a drugstore classic in my book, Physicians Formula Muru Muru Butter Highlighter in the shade Pearl. And I don't know if you can see, I've got a little bit of pan going right here in the middle. I want to keep using it until I hit that full pan. I apply it with my ring finger. Oops, got a little too much product right there. We'll spread it out. We can fix that later because it is quite subtle. And I just work into the high points of my cheek up through here. You might notice if you're someone who watches like my tutorials where I do more of like my party or going out looks, a lot of my placements are the same for my day-to-day as they are for my going out. I mean, my going out party makeup looks aren't anything crazy and dramatic, but they're a little bit more punchy. This meets the want I have for highlight during the day. For cream blush, I've got two different ones. The first one, it's not bad, it just doesn't excite me. And this is from Flower Beauty. This is the Gel Crush Lip and Cheek in the shade Strawberry Crush. It's just one of these like little deodorant stick looking products, and I like applying it with a synthetic angled brush. This is the BK Beauty Angie Hot and Flashy A507. With these, you can swipe it onto the skin. I like to work it into my brush, distribute it on the back of my hand, and apply. I don't know. I mean, I'm pretty fair. And for me, this just doesn't really give me the oomph I want. It gives you color. Like, there's no getting around it. It does give you a really pretty flush. But, I mean, if you've been around on my channel, I love blush. I love the vitality that blush adds back to a makeup look. Because a lot of times if you're applying your foundation, concealer, and you are putting coverage products on to the skin, you are toning down the natural flush the skin has. The natural flush, the natural imperfections that our skin can have, they add beauty, they add charm to the story that your face tells. I always like to go back in and work my layers and add the charm, I guess you could say, back to the face. And I normally like a little bit more of a punchy blush. That being said, as my first layer of blush, this works pretty well. And if you're someone who flushes very easily, this will probably be more than enough color for you. Now, I mentioned a few minutes ago that I purchased one more Chanel product, new shade expansion of the #1 to Chanel Red Camellia Lip and Cheek Balm. And the shade I purchased is #9 Purple Energy. I don't know why I want to call it Purple Power, but it's called Purple Energy. And it's this really beautiful plummy shade. The first few times I applied this, I applied it with my finger. I do like to apply this with my brush because it's one of those colors, despite being a gel cream, a little bit goes a long way. So I like to apply this on the front of the cheek, almost work it under the eye and down, because this berry shade almost has a little bit of a translucent fuchsia effect on my skin. So it almost mimics the look that my cheeks have in the evening when I come back from my walk with my husband. You know, like I mentioned a little while ago, it's -10 degrees before the wind chill. It is rigid outside, and by the time I come back from my walk, even though I've prepped my skin, I've bundled up, I've covered up my face as much as I can, I have a little bit of a flush to my skin, and the shade Purple Energy is great for mimicking that effect. And I just feel like it's very fresh, it's very winter-esque, and it makes me very, very happy. The #1 to Chanel Lip and Cheek color, it's not the most long-lasting formula, but it's really lovely, it's very easy to reapply, and it's one of the lip and cheek products that applies just as well on your lips as it does on the cheeks. I'm not gonna put on my lips today because we've got some other lip products to talk about. I've been loving this little fresh sugar lip treatment in the shade Rosy. For Christmas, one of my friends gave me a little mini pack. It came with 3 tinted fresh lip balms and the just translucent one. Rosy is my favorite. For every day, I feel like this is a great bit of color, and it almost gives the lips a little bit of like bit and flush to them, which I really enjoy. And the other shade I have in here is Bloom, and Bloom is just a little bit more of a vibrant pink. It's very reminiscent to the shade Strawberry Crush. Powder, I've been using the Bare Minerals Mineral Veil, the original Mineral Veil SPF 25. And it's okay. I love Bare Minerals, the loose powder foundation. I mean, I just talked about it in my favorite powder foundations of 2023. Mineral Veil, on the other hand, it's not a product I ever really fell madly in love with. It's a very functional product. It serves its purpose, but it doesn't excite me. To be fair, I don't know of many loose powders that really excite me. I just view loose powder as something that sets my face and lets me put my powders on top of my liquids and creams, and that's what this does. I do like that this has an additional SPF 25. I never apply it as heavily as you would need to get your SPF 25, but just that little extra bit of sunscreen. Bare Minerals Mineral Veil with SPF 25. For this week for bronzer, I've been using the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Bronzer in the shade 200 Fair. It's not a bad bronzer. It's just, I don't know. I'm picky with bronzers, admittedly. I love my Laura Geller bronzer, or I love to mix up powder blush with a powder foundation. That's kind of like one of my favorite things for a bronzer. I feel like if your skin was a little bit more neutral than mine is, maybe, or if you were a little bit deeper than I am, this would be great. But for me, I have to be careful. I'm applying it with a fluffy powder brush, and this is the same powder brush I just applied my loose powder with, because the loose powder that's left in the fibers of the brush will help to diffuse the powder bronzer. I don't know. It's just not a great tonal match for my skin. It can pull a little too peachy apricot for my personal taste, but for the sake of being cohesive, I'm gonna take a little bit more and just run it through my socket line. And what's left over, I'll take right under my eyes. Most days, that is the most eye makeup I will do. I'm not normally a huge shadow person day to day, but I have so many eyeshadows just from reviewing different things over the last few years. I've been trying to wear shadow more often, which we'll go ahead and move into shadow. And I've been using a palette from the Korean beauty brand Clio. This is the Pro Eye Palette in number 20 Lazy Soft Paw. So cute. And it came with these stickers that I put on. So you've got all these like little cute cat stickers, and inside you have more of a neutral pink palette. It does have some slightly warmer shades, it has some slightly cooler shades, but for the most part, the overall color story I feel like is pretty neutral, leaning rosy. Most days I will start off with these two shades right here and mix them haphazardly and just go right over the bronzer I just applied and work those through my socket and then right under my eye to add a little bit of shade. If I'm feeling frisky, if I want to add a little bit more, then I will mix these two pink peach shades. So I'll normally get the slightly deeper rosy pink, and then I will take the lighter one on my brush and I will just run that right over my eyelid. Normally I'll take my eyeshadow brush, wipe it off on the palm of my hand, and then I use the lightest matte. And yes, I do most of my everyday eye makeup look with one brush. This week it just happened to be the Refer number 16. Take the matte here on the inner corner of my eye, a little bit right under the brow. I also like to take it right on the center of my lower lash line. Depending on the day, depending on the mood, I'll either take the more peachy gold or the silvery pearl shimmer shade. Something I did yesterday that I really enjoyed is I started off with the peach and I put that right over my eye using my ring finger. Oh, I just used my middle finger there. Oh well, doesn't make much of a difference. And then I will take the silvery pearl and apply it just over top. And then I take just a pinch more of the silvery pearl, take it right there, and then I'll mix the silvery pearl and the peachy gold and tap it right under the middle of my eye, and my everyday eyeshadow is done. And then sometimes what I will do is I'll take my eyeshadow brush and just run right over to make sure everything is a little softer, a little hazy. My eyebrows aren't something I normally do a lot to, just because I have had my eyebrows microbladed. I've had my microblading done once, and I had a touch up where I had some shading with like the tattoo gun done here on the the tails of my brow. But where my skin is more oily, I do use exfoliating acids and retinoids. Around my eyes, I use them on my forehead, and you know, over time, they can kind of like make their way down through here just with the way gravity pulls products. So they faded out quite a bit, and you know, I like it, but I just don't know if it's worth the upkeep of having it done. So I'm just kind of letting them fade out. They're not going any sort of odd color. They're just kind of fading, and I am back to using an eyebrow pencil. This is the Sephora Collection retractable brow pencil in the shade 1.25 neutral gray brown. And I just like to work that right through the brow, and nothing's very precise. It's just to lightly fill in the brow. I don't know if I already said final product, but I did buy one more product this week. This is the NYX Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen, and I purchased the shade Taupe. And I had been using the Anastasia Beverly Hills brow pen. It was okay. I didn't want to pay Anastasia Beverly Hills pricing. I purchased the NYX version. Oh wow, that's a really good shade for my eyebrows. I like that shade better than the Anastasia. I believe though I was using the shade Soft Brown in the Anastasia, and I should have purchased the Taupe, but the NYX is really nice. Well, that's really nice, and that's really easy to use. Okay, I'm so excited by that. I believe this was like $12 or $15. Not bad. That's really pleasant. I try to apply a tight line, and that's just because if I don't, then all of my eyeliners will expire before I can use them. So this week I've been using the Cali Ray Superproof Easy Glide Eye Definer in the shade in the Deep with 5 E's. Deep. And it's okay. It's a blue-green. It's a pretty basic blue-green shade. One thing I do like about this is it's almost the same color blue-green as the perimeter of my iris. What I will say I don't love about this is I remember I purchased this because it was on sale and it had been on my wish list for quite a while, and a lot of people were saying that they love this eyeliner because it doesn't transfer, it doesn't move. For me, oops, okay, where it transferred onto my lid, I now have a little bit of blue-green right there. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add a little eyeliner right there and then smudge it back and forth. Instead of trying to remove the smudge, it's easier just to try to replicate the smudge on the other side and make it feel a little bit more intentional. Easy peasy. And then you know what? Mascara. Deja Vu Fiber Wig in the shade Brown. Japanese tubing mascara. It's nice. I remember years ago, Lisa Eldridge spoke about this mascara in one of her no makeup videos, and it's been on my wish list for quite a while, and I just hadn't seen it anywhere. And then I found it in an Asian beauty store here in Toronto, and I purchased it, and it's really nice. Is it my favorite tubing mascara? No. I feel like there's a lot of great tubing and lengthening mascaras on the market now, but if I would have tried this back when I first heard Lisa Eldridge talk about this, it would have really changed things for me, because at that point I had not found a mascara I loved, so I just didn't wear mascara most days because I didn't like how it looked, and I've never really been a big fan of black mascaras. I just found it always looked a little too heavy and too stark for my personal taste. I think in the past of all the mascaras, before I found the CoverGirl Clump Crusher, I loved the, what was it called? CoverGirl Lash Blast Length in the yellow tube. And then I had a short love affair when I worked at Macy's with the Lancome's Definicils Waterproof in Brown. That was expensive. Now for blush, I grabbed 2 blushes from my collection that I just hadn't been using to see if I had any feelings about them. The first one is the NYX Sweet Cheeks Matte Blush in the shade Bang Bang. I remember when I self-diagnosed my seasonal color palette, a mix of cool tones, but like, you know, the inner part of my iris is slightly warmer with a cooler exterior rim of the iris. I just felt like I wasn't purely cool toned to be like a true cool summer or a true cool winter. Other than being like a little kid with like super blonde hair, I've never had naturally super light hair. So I thought light summer was out of the picture. So I was like, okay, that means I'm a soft summer. And then I had my seasonal color done to find out that no, I'm a light summer, and that, you know, too many gray tones that you find in the summer soft or summer mute color palette can sometimes wash me out, or kind of, or as the stylist said, dull my natural shine. I purchased the shade. It's a little dark for me. I mean, it's dark, but what I'll do with this one is I'll take just a little bit on my blush brush, use it it far back on my cheeks. It's almost like a contouring blush shade, and work it here. I feel like if you had a slightly deeper tone, if your skin was slightly deeper, or you liked to wear slightly deeper shades like this would be a great blush shade. But for me and my preferences, it's just not something I feel like I'm gonna reach for too much going forward. But I do want to hang on to this for a little while because I do have a few other shades of the NYX Sweet Cheeks blushers that I want to do a blog post kind of covering all three of the different shades I have. I have another eyeshadow I forgot all about. This is the Phytosurgence Flash Fluorescence in Chilled Cherry. So this is the Phytosurgence cream eyeshadow. This is fully dried out. I will say I purchased this shortly after this like collection release. I can't remember what the collection was called, but it was the one with Chilled Cherry, and it was a little bit deeper than I was expecting. I remember I purchased because I think swatches on Temptalia, or it was either Temptalia or YouTube where I saw swatches on for these. It looks like those shades best suit for the realm of colors I preferred, and I didn't reach for it because the color I found a little overwhelming. Now it's dried out, I can use it as a little bit like a powder, but I really have to dig into it, and then it still pulls a little darker. This is just dried out and I can't really use it. So if you like a deeper red and plum shade and you like cream eyeshadows, I feel like this would be a really nice one to look into. For me, since it's dried out, I'm not going to put the effort in to use this since it is so dark. I'm just gonna move it to my empty bag and we'll talk about it again at the end of the year. The lip pencil I've been using a lot this week, it's from Essence. This is the Soft and Precise Lip Pencil. You can get these in quite a lot of places, but the specific shade is number 202 My Mind. And this is a shade one of my friends brought me back from Berlin. And when I was trying to link it, I found out it's not available in North America. So it's just a really beautiful, it's almost like a taupe rose. It's really lovely. And I want to use it sparingly because I don't know if I'm gonna go to Berlin anytime soon. I'm sure you could find it online. The shade's really, really nice. And I really like it. It's like a no makeup lip pencil, and the shade's just really easy to wear. As far as lip colors, I've got 3 different options in here. So I have Lisa Eldridge Rose Official. It's a nice, easy to wear shade. I've used this quite a few times on my channel. I also have the Daisy Lip Tint number 10. I'll have the full name in the description box. I love this a lot. I purchased this off Amazon when I was in the US for the holidays. It's a nice, easy, everyday brightening shade. And then I have the Dior Lip Glow Oil, and this is the shade 001 Pink. And it's okay. You know, I've had this in my collection for a little bit, and I should probably get rid of it. I've had it way longer than 12 months, and I don't know. I remember I had one. I don't know what happened to it. So then I repurchased this when it was really popular on Instagram and YouTube. I think this was like the early days of TikTok. And it's okay, but it's just, it's a lip oil. And I don't feel like it's worth the Dior price point for me and my taste. I don't see myself repurchasing this, and it doesn't taste the way it used to. I feel like this is something I should also probably get rid of because it's past its prime of 12 months. And the only other thing in my bag is my floss. So in the mornings, I like to use the Oral-B Glide Pro Health Deep Cleaning Floss. This is just a really inexpensive, easy to use floss that slides between my teeth really easily. And then in the evening, I really like the Cocoa Floss. This is a little bit more expensive. I believe this is like $12 for a little thing of floss here in Canada. I got mine when I was in the US and I bought a 4-pack, and a 4-pack was like $48. So I only use this at night. What I like is when it interacts with like the saliva, it expands slightly and it kind of fills up the gap between the tooth and the gum, so you get a really tight glide. Because, you know, we should all be like brushing, flossing twice a day, and I want to get, especially with wearing my Invisalign now, I'm really, I want to prevent a cavity at all costs. So I'm very diligent with my brushing and flossing after any meals, any snacks, and when I wake up and before I go to bed. So sometimes I brush up to 4 times a day. Normally I brush 2 to 3 times a day, and every time I brush, I floss as well. What I like about this is it's really good for getting anything from between the teeth, and I find this works really well on the back of the molar. So like the really hard to get teeth at the very back of the mouth. For some reason, I find this just works really easily for those. Only other thing that's not in the bag is perfume I've worn the most this week. And this is one I received for Christmas from my mom. And this is from Glam. This is part of the Legendaries collection. And this is Encens Magique. If you've been around for any amount of time on my channel, you will know I am a very sentimental person and I cry pretty easily. If something touches me or kind of gives me any sort of feels, I'll cry with like some sort of emotion. And when I opened this, I cried. And it's not even anything huge. I mean, it's a service that when I worked at Nordstrom, we would have all the time. But you know, being something from my mom, it really touched me. And it just brought me to tears on Christmas morning. Very good tears. It was very sweet. But what she did is she had my name engraved on it. So it just says Zachary. I mean, I go by Zach online, but my full name is Zachary. So I love this L'Encens Magique. It's so beautiful. It is a fresh powdery scent. It's got a slightly woodiness into it. I don't know all the notes. I'm sure if you go on Fragrantica, you can find all the notes, but it's just a very fresh powdery scent. It's not overpowering. It's very intimate to the body. So meaning it's not going to project far out. You almost have to come in for a hug to smell it. And what I like about this is when I was after Christmas, I wore this Christmas Day and the rest of the time I was down there and just a few little mist all over the body. If I walk past someone, like I think my youngest brother, he was like, "Oh, you smell nice." I was like, "Thanks." And he's like, "You smell like a towel." And I'm like, "A towel?" He's like, no, you know, like when mom takes the towels out of the dryer. I'm like, "Oh, that's good. That's good." And then we kind of went about, and then there was another day that I had just gotten ready for the day and I was coming downstairs. Because when we go to the state, I stay with my parents and I was going downstairs to have coffee. And like, you know, the morning ritual is if I'm at my parents, I say good morning to my mom. And then normally like we give each other a hug and it's like, "I love you. Did you sleep okay? Good. And then we'll have coffee and we'll chat for a little bit before we go about our day." And I remember one morning I went to give her a hug. She's just like, "You smell really good." I'm like, "Thank you." She's like, "What are you wearing?" She's like, "You always smell nice, but this is really nice." I was like, "It's the perfume you gave me for Christmas." And she's like, "Oh, that's really nice." She's like, "I almost want to buy myself a bottle just so I can smell you whenever you're not here." And of course, that's one of those other things that like makes me emotional because I do that too. I mean, I just talked about how White Musk from the Body Shop reminded me of like how my mom and her friends smelled when I was a kid. So, you know, it's a very full circle moment and I love things like that. So anyway, I'm gonna end this video here. I think I just had a package arrive for my birthday because my birthday was January 16th. And if you're curious, I'm a Capricorn sun with a Libra moon and my rising is Cancer. So I'm gonna work very hard, but if you push me, I will cry. That's my ongoing joke. But for my birthday, I have price watches going for everything. And Jovan White Musk is a perfume that has been on my list to try for ages, it feels. And on January 16th, there was a flash sale and it was $13.50. So for $13.50, I purchased it and I believe it just arrived. So I'm gonna go enjoy my new fragrance and I will see you all in the next video. If you enjoyed this style video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more fun content. I will see you later. Until then, I hope you're taking care of yourself wherever it is you are in the world, and I will see you later. Bye, friends.